Hello there, my very good friends. On this wrestling news video, Chris Jericho to WWE just became a very big story. I'm Andy, this is the news, and yeah, we're talking about Chris Jericho. His name has been in the headlines a lot this past week or so, and it continues because there's been some new developments, and now there's a lot more to this than a guy just going on Instagram and pressing like on a photo that somebody had made saying he might be leaving AEW. So, hey, later on today as well, myself and Phil will be here with even more wrestling news. But for now, this video is all about Chris Jericho once again. So, earlier this week, I just kind of went over it there. A lot of speculation on Jericho's AEW status because he seemed to like on Instagram a post linking him with an AEW exit. Now, it's, he put a little heart emoji on a thing, right? At first glance, it might not seem like a huge deal, but Chris Jericho's not dumb. He would have known that when he did that and people saw his name attached to this thing, people will be talking about it. Now, people are talking about it, and there's all kinds of smoke to the fire now, which is pretty interesting. So Fightful had reported last month, by the way, that unless Jericho's contract was frozen by AEW for time he has been away from TV, including the past 4 months, he hasn't appeared since April. So unless they've added that time, or other time, Jericho's deal with AEW is up at the end of this year. There's only 4 months left in this year, that's not a long-ass time. On top of this, on Wrestling Observer Radio now, Dave Meltzer, who always has some good Jericho stories, I'll leave it at that, confirmed that WWE is interested in bringing their former world champion back. So here's what Dave said. I know from a WWE standpoint that there is a lot of talk there about Jericho. People are speculating the Royal Rumble. Nobody has officially said anything, nor will anybody say anything officially. From a timing standpoint, again, and he goes into a bit of analysis here more than anything. All things being equal, from Jericho's standpoint, it's time to go to WWE, and that's Dave's opinion. That's not him reporting anything. The stuff that has been plaguing him, like fan response, he goes to WWE. A guy from AEW that goes to WWE is going to be over like crazy. So, let's talk about the exit and the return, like the logistics first of all. Yeah, if his deal's up in December, a surprise, I mean, we'd all know about it because reporters are just really good at their jobs these days. A surprise appearance in the Royal Rumble would make a lot of sense. It's an event that demands surprises, and what bigger surprise could WWE pull in 2026 than Chris Jericho coming back to the company after being such a foundational figure for the competition. It would be a pretty huge deal across the board. WWE has done a good job when it comes to like main roster debuts of new people this year, right? And people who've come from AEW. So I'm thinking Penta in particular, right? His debut was really impactful. Rey Fenix had a strong debut too. You could argue that the follow-up hasn't been as strong as it has been with his brother. But generally, they're doing a pretty good job, right, with these big, impactful debuts. And also, Jericho, to a WWE fan, Jericho is a much bigger name than Penta or Phoenix. Jericho was with WWE for 20-odd years or whatever, right? He's a former world champion. He's done it all. He's won it all. He's been in and out of the company a lot, but he's a well-known face and a former main eventer. So yeah, like it's a huge name. If they hear that countdown noise, I'm like, that terrible impression, but if they hear that in the arena and then break the walls down and all that hits, it's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge pop. It's going to be a capital M moment that we're all told to talk about these days. So yeah, the Royal Rumble would make a heck of a lot of sense. And as far as Dave, mentions it's time for him to go back to WWE, yeah, I agree. I think it's the perfect move for everybody involved. I think it's probably a bit of conflict for Tony Khan because he's very fond of Chris Jericho, and Jericho was extremely important to AEW in the early days. Let's not let go of that. Let's not forget that. It would be really unfair to say he sucks or he's always sucked. That'd be nonsense. Complete toot. Le Champion was awesome. Le Sex Gods was awesome. He had a bunch of complimentary feuds with the likes of Orange Cassidy. Yes! It's gone on a little bit too long. The learning tree didn't quite work out as intended, and the Eddie Kingston feud dragged on too long. And, the Jericho Vortex is a real thing, but if you're reducing his entire AEW run to just the bad stuff, or the stuff you don't like, which is probably a fairer way to put it, that's not fair, I don't think. I think his first couple of years were sensational and very important for the launch of that brand. So yeah, if you're Tony Khan, it's probably a little bit bittersweet. But at the same time, I would argue that Jericho has probably outgrown his use in AEW, and they probably don't need him anymore. Whereas if he goes back to WWE, it'll be a fresh new direction for him. It will be another opportunity to reinvent himself, which is something he has been the best at throughout his career. He's a chameleon. He constantly comes up with new things. He always kicks out at 2 when people say he's finished. And for WWE, it's a chance to get a nice big pop at the Rumble. They're all about moments, right? There you go. I think it makes all the sense in the world. Now, Jericho's not been in AEW since April. He's been on the road with Fozzy and taking time off. There's another Fozzy tour next year, but I don't think that'll impact too many things. I can't imagine if he re-signed with WWE, Nick Khan would be like, no more Fozzy, although probably be doing our ears a bit of a favor there. Jericho's last WWE match was the Greatest Royal Rumble. That was in 2018. So it's been, if he comes back next year, it'll have been the best part of 8 years. That's insane, since he's been in WWE. Obviously, in 2022, he was part of a video tribute to John Cena on Cena's 20th anniversary on an episode of Raw, which was interesting. Him and Brian Danielson were involved in that, appearing as AEW stars in these pre-recorded videotape things as a tribute to Cena. It's a pretty interesting crossover. And, him and Triple H is obviously head of WWE booking these days, and these two guys haven't always had the best relationship, but Jericho has said in recent years, while they didn't like each other in the past, nowadays they're cool. So, presumably that's removed as a barrier. Wonder what Triple H thinks of that. But look, if Nick Khan, Triple H, Bob TKO, whatever those guys are called, if they're sitting there and thinking, hey, we can make money off of this, we can get a nice big pop, we can draw some attention, all of that, they're not going to turn their noses up just because Triple H and Chris Jericho had an argument about, I don't know, who should go over 15 years ago or something like that. They're going to put that aside. Unless they're the pettiest people alive, which, it's wrestling, it's entirely possible, let's be honest. I think they would do it. I think they would work out. I think they'd find a way to make all of that come together and pay off. So yeah, look, this Jericho story is not going away. It's going to be a big one until it is finally resolved. Would it surprise me if he re-upped with AEW? No, I don't think so. For the reasons described earlier, I think Tony Khan is extremely fond of Jericho and would like to keep him around for whatever role, whatever capacity. But at the same time, I just think going back to WWE makes a hell of a lot of sense. It just works for all involved parties. It's a different style of product as well, which helps a lot. Look, I think that Jericho's ability to perform after 30 odd years or however long it's been in wrestling is awesome. I respect that immensely. But there is a bit more of an in-ring pressure in AEW to where the matches are held to a bit of a higher standard and more importance is placed in those. That's not quite the case in WWE, where it's a bit soapier and it's a bit more moment-driven and all of that stuff. And he won't, when he goes in there and he has a 15-minute match or whatever, people won't shout at him if it's not 4 stars or whatever, right? It's a different dynamic, it's a different vibe. Match quality does absolutely matter. You can't go in any company and just crap it up, right? You can't go out there and excrete poop from a butt and expect people to enjoy that. But it is a little more important in AEW than it is in WWE, and WWE places a bit more of an emphasis on the soapier aspects than AEW does. So, different products, different vibes, different energies, and probably WWE a better fit for Chris Jericho in big 2025. So, yeah, I think this makes all the sense in the world. If you disagree with me, I'd love to know why. Let me know in the comments section below. Do you think he should stick around? What do you think there is left for Chris Jericho to do in AEW, actually? That's a really good question. Because he's already... Why is my phone playing music? That's really strange. Freddie Gibbs. What's left for Chris Jericho in AEW? He's not going to win the world title again, right? He was the Ring of Honor champion, sure. Probably outlived that as well. There's some young people he could put over, but then we look at the pattern of his recent AEW putting people over feuds, and yeah, the Bandito feud was good, but these feuds tend to go on 1 or 2 matches too long, and by the end of it, you're just like, oh, come on, hurry up, what are we doing? So yeah, like I just don't think there's a whole lot left for him there as well. And God forbid we have to sit through another Chris Jericho heel stable. I think we've seen enough of them in AEW, so make the move, man. I think it makes a lot of sense in the world, and look, it's more now than him just sitting there liking Instagram things. So we'll see what comes to this. I'm sure Jericho himself is plotting in the background, scheming away. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, share, subscribe. All of those good things really do help us a lot. Check the video on your screen right now as well. What we got here? We got 47 wild wrestling moments that get even crazier when you know the truth. It's a big compilation. A lot of Gareth on here, the great man. You love to see it. Enjoy that. And we'll be back later on with even more news with me and Phil. Bye-bye.